at night. The freedom to sleep on a beach under a tree or in a hostel. The freedom to talk to other travellers from other countries and to the random, generous strangers who would give him lifts. The freedom to eat a meal of bread, cheese and wine on the banks of the Seine or on the stone bench of a Roman amphitheatre. The freedom to escape Whittingham, the village wedged into a fold of the Chiltern Hills in which he had spent the whole of his life. Mike had shared Phil's enthusiasm. They had decided to ditch the Interrail idea and hitchhike instead. They were leaving the following Saturday, taking the train to Sevenoaks in Kent and then hitching to the Channel from there. They had allowed themselves 5 weeks and £300 each. £300 that they had both saved toiling on a building site during the Christmas and Easter holidays. Except now they weren't going, or at least Phil wasn't going. The mean bastard in question, Phil's dad, had seen to that. "Phil, Grams is here." His mother's voice snaked up the stairs and through his closed bedroom door. It was Sunday, and Phil's grandmother was dropping in for lunch before going on to London. She lived in Cornwall. Whittingham was on the way. For a moment, Phil considered staying in his room and sulking, but that wasn't his style. Plus, he always wanted to see his grandmother. Plus, he was hungry, and the roast beef smelled really good. "Coming!" "So, when are you off on your adventure, Philip?" "It looks like I'm not going," said Phil as neutrally as possible. He was too proud to sound sulky or angry, even if that was exactly how he felt. There were 5 of them around the gleaming dining table: Phil's parents, his grandmother, and his 16-year-old sister, Mel. "Oh? What have you done?" Grams had realised immediately that Phil must have done something wrong. She was looking at him in that all-too-familiar way she had, not exactly inquiring, more interrogating. She wanted to know the answer. Grams always wanted to know the answer. She was young for the grandmother of an 18-year-old, in her mid-60s, Phil believed. Nor did she really look like a granny. She was tall and long-limbed, and her thick, short hair was still dark, with only the odd strand of grey. Her voice was husky, clipped, and old-fashioned, like something out of a black-and-white movie. She couldn't say her R's, a trait that had skipped a generation to her granddaughter, much to Mel's frustration. Grams's deep brown eyes, almost black, latched onto you over her large, imperious nose, and once they had fixed on you, they wouldn't let go until you had answered her question. "I crashed Dad's car last week." "Oh dear. Was it your fault?" "Well, the insurance company thinks so," said Phil's father. "What do you think?" asked Grams. Phil had borrowed his father's Rover to drive a couple of mates from school on a mini pub crawl around the best village pubs in the area. Phil had only drunk 1 pint at the first pub, the 3 Castles in Whittingham, and that was going to be his lot for the evening. They were celebrating the end of A-levels, and Elvis Costello was watching the detectives as loud as the car's tape deck would allow. Phil was turning right off a main road into a narrow lane to the second pub. The driver of a marina had slowed and signalled for him to go ahead, but as he turned, a Bedford van sped out of nowhere and caught the rear of the Rover, spinning it off the road and into a wall. No one was hurt. Phil passed the inevitable breathalyzer test. The van was scarcely damaged, but the Rover was a write-off. He recalled the woman in the marina who had urged him on. He hadn't seen the van coming, and perhaps he should have done. But wasn't it driving too fast? "I don't know," he said honestly. "Phil hasn't had much driving experience yet," said his father. "He only passed his test in February." "So it wasn't his fault?" Graham said. "Oh, it was his fault, all right,"